Vanabonta once wrote, "Space is as infinite as we can imagine, and expanding this perspective is what adjusts humankind's focus on conquering our true enemies, the formidable foes, ignorance and limitation." And I do believe that this quote reflects on what the Star Trek universe, from its TV shows to movies, has been all about. Exploring the universe as we conquer our limitations as human beings. And one of the great aspects in Star Trek world is that humanity has transcended from most of its problems. Even with all this perfect utopian concepts that have been established, Star Trek delves into a very important concept with its themes: limitation. This concept was dealt with the 1982 movie The Wrath of Khan, a movie I believe that must be watched whether you are a Trekkie or not. From the very first opening of the movie, we are given a visual representation of space. It gives a scale on the vastness and infinite expansion of it. As stars pass, we are given an optimistic look on how we can reach these stars, while at the same time are limited to the infinity of the universe. The movie then proceeds with a scene of a Vulcan trainee called Lieutenant Savick doing the infamous Kobayashi Maru simulation, which this movie is built on its design, the NoWin Scenario. Kobayashi Maru is designed to test the character of an individual in a no-win situation, such as death. Wrath of Khan delves into this concept from all perspectives, whether it is the logical, moral, or even impulsive ones. The lieutenant who went through the simulation is deeply disturbed by its design. Because of her Vulcan tropes, she believes that there's always a solution if given enough logical reasoning.
I failed to resolve the situation.
There's no correct resolution, it's a test of character.
Another scene that delves into the limited perspective of logical reasoning in a no-win scenario is the scene where Captain Clark Terrell and Pavel Chekhov draw their guns and Kirk at the others because previously Khan, the main villain, mentally controlled them with creatures that enter the ears of their victims and makes them susceptible to mind control. David, who is Kirk's son, out of impulse, tries to assault them. Savick stops David because from a logical standpoint, David has no chance. But as she saves him, the life of another innocent is taken. The scene continues as Khan orders Captain Terrell to kill Kirk, another no-win situation. If he kills Kirk, it will put a strain on his moral conscience. If he doesn't, the creatures inside his head will make him insane. His reaction? All of this comes down to the element of choice, and every character has a mechanism to make one. Spock and Savick make choices through logic.
I was not attempting to evaluate its moral implications, Doctor.
Dr. Bones does it through morality.
The myth, the Earth was created in 6 days. Now watch out. Here comes Genesis. We'll do it for you in 6 minutes.
I do not dispute that in the wrong hands.
In the wrong hands? Would you mind telling me whose are the right hands, my logical friend?
The other most important character I need to talk about, the mechanism of choice, is Khan. What makes Khan the villain is not superficially his revenge quest, but it is his mechanism of making choices, and that is impulse. An impulse, or in other words, savagery, does not suit well to the world of Star Trek. This is more directly stated in the 2013 Star Trek Into Darkness, as Khan states,
"I wanted to exploit my savagery. Intellect alone is useless in a fight, Mr. Spock. You can't even break a rule. How would you be expected to break bone?"
We see this contrast between Khan and Starfleet, not just with their character, but with their choice of clothing. While Starfleet's crew is dressed in a futuristic modern manner, Khan and his crew are the opposite, as if they were dressed up for the apocalypse or something like that. Thematically, Khan's main clash is not Kirk, but it is Spock. When Spock says,
"Logic clearly dictates that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few,"
Khan does the opposite. While Spock makes choices with the concept that needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, or one person, Khan makes choices that are only in favor of him because of his need for revenge. Khan is also a representation of Captain Ahab from the novel Moby Dick. He even quotes from the book by saying,
"From hell's heart, I stab at thee for hate's sake. I spit my last breath at thee."
Khan, similar to Ahab, is his blind vengeance towards Kirk, as is Ahab towards Moby Dick. When he is confronted to stop his revenge quest to serve and benefit of the crew, he refuses and continues just as Ahab did. And just like Ahab, even with all his knowledge on war, his impulsive need for revenge is what creates his downfall and death. The NoWin scenario is heavily concluded with the film's climax. When the engine room is damaged and is filled with radiation, Spock decides to go and fix the warp drive through his logical thinking that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, or in this case, the one person. This goes against Kirk's perspective, as shown in this scene.
I don't believe in the no-win scenario.
After Spock dies, we see half part of Kirk's eyeglasses broken. This is also a symbolism for Kirk losing Spock, a perspective that made him saw life differently, logically for that matter. When Kirk ponders on that he has never faced a no-win scenario and feels helpless for that matter, his son David responds,
"To tell Saavik that how he faced death is at least as important as how he faced life."
This is a reference to the Kobayashi Maru. The Kobayashi Maru is not actually designed to test a person on what the response is when faced death, but how they deal when faced with life itself and the choices that come with it, as Kobayashi means tree in Japanese, and in Japanese culture it is symbolized for life. And with this thesis, the movie ends with the creation of a new world by Genesis, which also means life out of death.